Hi guys, how are you? And good morning or good evening. It depends on the time you come across this video, right? So I'm gonna talk about a true life story that happened in Australia 2000. It's about a murder case. This lady here, her name is Catherine Knight, and they used to call her the Black Knight because of how she kills. So one day, her husband, God rest his soul, John Price, told his co-worker that if at all I do not make it to work, or if at all you just stay and you don't see me at work, no, I did not make it alive. Now, you might be wondering why he said something like that. This is because of the occurrences, the repeated occurrences that has happened in the marriage, right? Now, this lady here was born 24th October 1955 to an adulterous parent. You might be wondering why I say adulterous, but I'm going to tell you. Her mother's name was Barbara Doha, and she was initially married to John Doha. She had an affair with John Doha's staff, which his name is Ken, and she got pregnant. Now, don't forget, while she was married to John, she had children. But when John found out about the affair, he had to pursue her and Ken out of his house. Now, Ken Knight and Barbara Doha left the house, and of course, she was pregnant with Catherine, right? Catherine Knight. Now, the family where she was born into, which is the family of Cain, used to molest her, right? And this Cain, her father, of course, was also involved in the molestation. And also, Barbara's marriage to Cain was a crazy one. You know how you jump from fire pan to fire? That's what happened. Now, Cain here was a crazy, chronic drunk and adulterer, and also a woman beater, right? It was stated there that also there are times he would beat Barbara to stupor and have a crazy rough intercourse with her 10 times in a day. Now, when Catherine grew up, and of course, she told her mom that, see, oh, my father's brother's family, they used to molest me and all of that. The response the mom gave to her was, you have to grow up, man up, and just take it, right? So I guess she, had the issues. It affected her, but that notwithstanding, okay, she had this two personality disorder. In school, she was a very bright star. She was always loved by everyone. She was copied by everyone, but at home she had this crazy mindset. Now at 15, she dropped out of school because she had a flair for skinning animals, right? Skinning things, seeing blood, seeing things shed blood, seeing things cry out while you're being mothered, right? That's what she had a flair for. So luckily for her, she got a job at an abattoir. You know what an abattoir means? Where where you can like a slaughter. Good. So she was so good at it that she was she was promoted from just an abattoir to a higher realm at the slaughter area. Good. Now she had her own caved knives. She had her knives designed in her house, her bed stand, everywhere, to show how good she was at her job. Now that was a major red flag. That was a major red flag where people just thought it was a normal thing. Now, before this, John Price was the last husband she killed that, of course, sentenced her to life imprisonment. Before that, she had other husbands in the person of what's the man's name again? She had a husband called David Kellett. This man. Now she got married to David Kellett in 1974. Now, it is also written that when she and David Kellett arrived at the ceremony on a motorcycle, the mother, Barbara Doha, pulled Kellett aside and said, do not mess with Catherine, because if you do, she would skin you alive. The mother said that to Kellett. Now, Kellett just thought it was a normal thing. Now, Kellett here was a chronic drunk. I think she had a flair for toxic relationships, I think from when she was a child or something. So this Kellett guy, he just ignored it. He called it a bluff, right? He called it a bluff because he was just saying, I'm in love and all of that. Now, they used to fight a whole lot. I would read exactly what is here. Now, on the wedding night, after 3 rounds of intercourse, Kellett fell asleep, only to be awakened by a furious Knight trying to strangle him. She tried to strangle him on the same night after they had a blissful marital intercourse. Good. Luckily, he was able to fend her off, but this was only the start. Kellet was able to flee to the neighborhood home, passing out, and later on treated for several fractures. Now, there was a point where she also used scissors and stabbed Kellet's stomach. Now, all these things, Kellet still saw it. He would forgive her. She would cry. He would come back and, tell her, I love you. We can work this out. It was crazy. And he was very lucky he did not die. He did not die. They had a child called Melissa. Now, to the extent that she was also violent, that she used a machete and she sliced Melissa's face. Today said that it was so bad that Melissa had to get stitches on her face. Her own child, the child she had with Kellet, her first husband. Now let me not just drag you guys so much into the whole thing, to the extent that Kellet ran away. On Kellet's running away, she got very furious, to the extent that when Melissa was still a child, I think Kellet ran away at the early stage. So when Melissa was still a child, she took Melissa, she dragged Melissa, like how they put a baby baby's clothes, like baby's blankets. Yes, she put Melissa in the blanket and she was dragging Melissa across the street. The neighbors saw and they had to call the police on her. They came, they took her to the mental facility. She bailed herself out. When she came out, she now carried Melissa and she put Melissa on a train railway. Like, I cannot understand. This woman was meant to be detained for life, like at the mental facility. Just detain her, don't remove her, but they still released her. Now, Kellet ran for his life. He ran away for his life. On her way going to find Kellet in another state, they said Kellet fled to another state entirely. Now, on her way going to find Kellet, she wanted to kill Kellet's mechanic, because Kellet's mechanic actually repaired the car Kellet used in running away. So I don't understand why she would be that crazy. But of course, she didn't see the mechanic and she didn't see Kellet. So Kellet was free. He ran away. He got a new job at the mall and ran away. Of course, she never saw Kellet again, and Kellet never saw her or the child again. Now, her second husband, David Saunders. Now, the picture is not there. We cannot find the picture online. But David Saunders, of course, they met in 1986, right? And Catherine's daughters, the previous one she had with Kellet, they moved in together. And this same thing happened again. Now, in this other one, the violence continued in May 1987, right? Catherine slit the throat of David Saunders' dog because they had issue. Now, slitting this dog's throat, she did it in front of David Saunders. I don't know what she was doing, like, I'm gonna get you. But I just know she was crazy. She was a very crazy woman. They had issues to the extent that she had to use a hot frying pan, and she slammed David Saunders on his head. And each time this thing happens, these guys, they will go back and come back and still apologize, and they will now enter the house again. Now, this other one that David went and came back, David said he was sleeping, only for him to wake up and he saw what's her name, Catherine, on top of him, on top. And she said, this is how it is easy enough for me to kill you. Like, I don't understand. That one, later, he also ran away. He ran away for his life. I think that one also, she stabbed that one with a scissors, like in his chest. So he survived. When he went to the hospital, he survived and he ran away. Now she got married again to another person, John Shillington, but this one there is no image. Now this John Shillington, of course, they moved in together, but he could not just, he could not do it. He could not just, I think he had zero tolerance. So he just saw everything that happened, and that one fled. I think their relationship was just 3 months. They didn't even get married. Just 3 months. That one ran away. Now John Price here was the cocoa of the cocoa of the cocoa, right? Now John Price was a rich guy. Okay, they got married, they stayed together. John Price, his previous marriage, he had 3 children. Now, initially, he did not want to live with Catherine, but because of how fond the children, John Price's children, were of Catherine, he decided to move in with Catherine. No, Catherine decided to move in with him. So they stayed together, but it was crazy. right? It was crazy. So in 1995, Catherine moved in with John Price. They were all lovey-dovey. They had an argument in 1998 where, of course, Price reluctantly told Catherine that he does not think he wants to get married because, of course, his marriage of the previous year just got spoiled like that. And he has, three children from it, and he doesn't really feel he wants to do it. Now she got angry and snapped some equipment Price, got from the trash in the office, like maybe all these metal, all these things. Maybe he wanted to sell it. She got angry and she snapped it and she sent it to John Price's workplace, and he got sacked. This is a place that he has worked for 17 years. Just because of small argument of marriage, he sent it to the boss, and of course, John lost his job. Now, that was not even the case. This relationship followed the same trajectory of all her relationship, like everything the same handwriting and everything the same violence. So one fight between Catherine and Price resulted in her stabbing him again in the chest February 27, 2006. And due to this shock, he got a restraining order for her. And after which he did, they still apologized. And he still came back again. Now, on him coming back again to stay with her, they did not live together, so they had to live separate ways, right? Just live in your house, I'll live in my house, but we'll still be dating because of love. That was a very crazy stuff. Now, on February 29, 2000, John Price told his co-worker that if I do not come back to work the next day, just know I did not make it out alive. And the co-worker just told him, don't go home, chill, stay here with us. He said, no, I need to go back to my house. So he went back to the house. Of course, he entered the house and he did not see the children and Catherine. So he remembered that Catherine, of course, sent the children to go sleep over a game at maybe a friend's place. So he went over to the neighbor's place and he stayed with the neighbor till like 11 o'clock, and they had drinks, and he now came home. Now, Catherine too came home some minutes after. Now, she came home, she called him, they made out, right? Couples, intercourse, they made out and all of that. Now, I'm going to read exactly what she did. Okay. Now, it is written that the documentary said that Price was stabbed 37 times by one of Catherine's blades. Now, she stabbed this man 37 times to the extent that when the police came into the scene, the blood was splashed everywhere. Now, how did they know about this? In the morning, John Price's neighbor came out and saw that Price's car was still outside, and it's not like him. He's not meant to be. He's meant to be at work. They called the police. Calling the police, the neighbor called the co-worker. They came, they tried to knock the door, thinking maybe Price had overslept. He could not open the door. The door was not open. They now bounced the door. On entering, they said the scene they saw, it was a life-setting trauma for the whole Australia that day. Now, this woman, this Black Knight, this Catherine, stabbed John 37 times with one of her favorite blades. Now, when she did that, let me tell you what she did to his body, right? She removed his skin from the flesh and she hung it on the door. Now, you may be thinking of the time she did this thing. This is someone that is psycho. After removing his skin from his body, she now got various parts of his body. She prepared meals, different kind of meals with his skin that same night, and she placed it on the table. She designated different notes for the children. In the food, they said she put in carrots and all those other stuffs, and she took pills. Now, the pills she took, she wanted to act like she was dead, but of course the police are smarter. They now took her to a facility and she was revived and she was arrested. Do you know that this woman, she also had to cut his buttocks? She cut his buttocks. She tried to eat the buttocks, but she could not. They saw a plate of the buttocks at the backyard. I think she could not eat it. Now she wrote something, a note, right? She kept it there. She wrote and she attached the children's names and all of that. And this is a note. They said it did not have any logical meaning. But this is a note. You can pause and read it. Now she was arrested and tried on February 2nd, 2001. She was arrested and she was sentenced. Okay, she pleaded guilty, right? Now, pleading this guilty with no remorse, they asked her, "What did you do?" She said she cannot remember what she did. Now, they had to send her to a mental facility for her to get treatment, for us to know, okay, for them to know, okay, is she actually, because you cannot just plead guilty and you are not aware of what you did or you don't want to accept what you did. The first trial, the second trial, the third trial, she did the same thing. She was pleading guilty. At some point, she wanted to change to not guilty, but she was just fluctuating. The first trial was 2001 on the 2nd of February. The second one was 15 October 2001. She pleaded the same thing. Now, November 8th, 2001, a new judge came in called Judge Okafe. Now, he was so angry, so he just played the scene of the video and everything, and he said nobody ever deserves this kind of treatment, and she was sentenced to a life imprisonment with no parole. Since she wants to be claiming not and be guilty with no remorse, she was sentenced to life imprisonment with no parole, and she's currently 69 years and she's still serving. She's not dead, she's still serving. So it's really crazy, right? Because one day she will meet her creator, and I don't know what she's going to say. How would you kill someone's child? Divide the buttocks. She dismembered the body, and she cooked the meals. She cooked meals. She had the time. She killed him. She had sex, killed him, dismembered his body, skinned his body, cooked meals, wrote notes, and still tried to take pills to look like she's dead so that she could flee away or something. Gosh. So that's the end of my story, guys. See you next time.